Hello, welcome to today's lesson. Today we'll be talking about parallel lines and transversals. Previously we've talked about transversals meeting a pair of lines and the kind of angles they form. Today we're going to talk about specifically what happens when I have parallel lines. So we got a comic today. I'll let you read this real quick and then we'll get started. Alright, so using parallel lines and transversals, we want to classify and find measures of angles formed by parallel line and transversals. So one of two things is going to happen when I have parallel lines cut by a transversal. First of all, I just want to kind of point out here, looking at the parallel lines here, this little symbol right here, these arrows right there, indicate that these two lines are parallel to each other. So one of two things is going to happen. If two parallel lines are intersected by a transversal, then we're going to have either congruent angle pairs or we're going to have supplementary angle pairs. Okay, so first we talk about our corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are going to be congruent. So remember, we've got a pair of corresponding angles right here. Angle 1 and angle 5 would be congruent. Angle 2 and 6 are corresponding angles as well. They would be congruent. Angles 3 and 7 are corresponding angles, and they're congruent as well. And then angles 4 and 8 will be congruent. In addition to corresponding angles being congruent, alternate interior angles are going to be congruent as well. Remember, my alternate interior angles are inside the lines on different sides of the transversal. So angle 3 and angle 6 are going to be congruent, as well as angle 4 and angle 5. And then my last pair of congruent angles is going to be my alternate exterior angles, which again, remember, are angle 1 and 8. And 2 and 7. So all three of these angle pairs, corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, and alternate exterior angles, these angle pairs are going to be congruent when I have parallel lines. The last angle pair that I have is my consecutive interior angles. And consecutive interior angles are going to be supplementary. So again, remember, supplementary angles will be angle 3 and 5, or 4 and 6. And so supplementary, again, remember, means they add up to 180 degrees. So the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 5 will equal 180 degrees. And the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 6 will equal 180 degrees. So example 1, we have the measures of three of these other angles are 125 degrees. We want to identify what those angles are, and we want to say what's the relationship back to this original angle, which is 125 degrees right here. So three other angles are also going to be 125 degrees. So the first one will be the measure of angle 1. Is also going to be 125 degrees. So what we want to do is identify, well, what's the reason why? What's the relationship between angle 1 and my original angle of 125 degrees? And these angles are vertical angles. And we know vertical angles are congruent. My next angle pair I could talk about would be angle 5 down here. So the measure of angle 5 will also be 125 degrees. And again, I want to know why. What's the relationship between angle 5 and my original angle? And these two angles are going to be alternate interior angles. And then my last angle that's also going to be 125 degrees is going to be right here, angle 7. So the measure of angle 7 will also be 125 degrees. And my reason for this one is going to be because this is a corresponding angle with my original angle. And again, remember, these are just 3 of the angle pairs that we have congruent. The last 2, alternate interior and corresponding, needs to have parallel lines in order for them to be congruent. Vertical angles are always going to be congruent. However, alternate interior angles and corresponding angles are only congruent when my 2 lines are parallel, crossed by a transversal. Example number 2 asks us to find the value of x and then find the measure of angle 2. So first of all, we look at x. X is this angle right here. And then we have 113 degree angles, which is this one right here. So we want to ask ourselves, what's the relationship between these 2 angles? Now, one of the things that's not given to us in the example that should be is that these 2 lines right here are going to be parallel to each other. So once we know these 2 lines are parallel to each other, we can use the parallel line property, which says that alternate exterior angles, which these 2 angles are congruent to each other. So we're just going to set 3x minus 4 equal to 113. And we're going to solve for x. Add 4 to both sides. 3x equals 117. Divide both sides by 3. 3 is going to cancel out. And x is going to equal 39. Now this is not my final answer. I do want to find the value of x, but I also want to find the measure of angle 2. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is I'm going to plug in x into this equation to figure out what the measure of this angle is right here. So it's 3 times x, which we just said was 39, minus 4. 3 times 39 is going to be 117. Minus 4 is going to be 113, which is what I should have gotten because it should be the exact same measure as the other angle over here. So this is 113. And then to find the measure of angle 2, we want to ask ourselves, what's the relationship between this angle over here and angle 2, which is the angle that I'm looking for. Okay? And they're a linear pair, and linear pairs are supplementary. So if I call this y, to use a different variable for my missing angle, plus my other angle, which is 113, that's going to equal 180 degrees. Subtract 113 from both sides, and y is going to equal 67 degrees for the measure of angle 2. So I have x is 39, and then my measure of angle 2 is going to be 67 degrees for this example. All right, that's it for the examples. Go ahead and try the You Try Nows. Remember, as always, if you have questions, please write them down on the side and ask them when I see you next time.